Moving right along, actually following up to a story we had last week, the Batman Ninja Turtles crossover. I mentioned briefly how there was 2 comic book volumes so far. Well, guess what? There's going to be a third to complete the trilogy coming out May 1st of this year. And it says here that it's going to have Krang in it, which if you don't know is the interdimensional alien from Dimension X. Which means we'll probably get to see the Technodrome and have Batman figure out how to hack into that. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so essentially Shredder's gooey pink center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one version of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think, what I always associated Krang with, like just the 80s cartoon, seeing him at the very center of Shredder.
Yeah, well, I think you're confusing them. In 2003, I don't know if his name was Krang, but there were Krang-like aliens that were around the universe, and one of them was actually inside of Shredder, the whole time it was this facade that he put on. But in the original 80s cartoon, Krang was actually a separate entity from Shredder.
Okay. So, yeah, I might be confused. Like, I haven't watched the cartoon in the longest time. I just remember sort of that scene or that twist.
That was it's very possible. 2003 series.
Yeah, it's very possible.
Which is my personal favorite.
Details. Yeah, I mean, both were, I think, like pretty iconic in their own right. I always loved the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles growing up, so it's always cool to see sort of like modern interpretations. Aside from like the Michael Bay version or whatever that last live action one was.
Oh, you know what I actually heard? I heard that they're looking to do another reboot movie away from Michael Bay, which I guess that's good. Because I did not like the Michael Bay ones. Although I only saw the first one, but I did hear nothing good about the second.
I don't know. That was at a point where I sort of knew that I couldn't justify seeing anything Michael Bay was even remotely behind. So I stayed away from them. I just remember the last live action one not being great. Weirdly enough, I did actually get like the video game, like the Nintendo DS game that came along with the one live action. I think it was probably like 2011, 2010, somewhere in there. So I remember getting this DS game where you could play as each of the turtles and you could have like these little fight scenes, but the vast majority of this game was literally just like jumping from building to building. Like I swear, like 90% of this game was just moving.
That doesn't sound like how it should be. Every Turtles game should be a beat 'em up, possibly 4-player co-op beat 'em up, just like the original arcade game. That's how you do it. Yeah.
So I mean, that was my. I think that was actually probably the first Nintendo DS game I ever got. Like I remember like playing that as soon as I got the actual device and just like playing through it. So yeah.
I had 2 Ninja Turtle games on the original NES. The first one was ridiculous. It's like really difficult. It has these weird gameplay styles. Like there's a map, an overworld map that you kind of crawl along and avoid, vehicles that are trying to run you over. And then you go into these buildings and then there's side-scrolling segments where the enemies respawn the moment you go off the screen and then like try to walk back. And a bunch of those are really tough. That game sucked. But then there was TMNT 2, the arcade game, which was the port of the actual arcade version. And that was 2 players, and you could pick any of the turtles. I played that so many times, me and my brother. That was one of the games that I learned how to play games on. Lots of good memories with the turtles over the years.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm always happy to see that they're sort of gaining this mainstream popularity. It does, like, at least provide the potential for them to be done some justice.
Yeah. I think Nickelodeon, since they took over ownership, have treated them fairly well, although arguably with the newest animated series, because it's... Yeah. But yeah, at least they keep it going.
I'm pretty mad about the whole thing. So yeah, I mean, like, we don't know too much about the whole Batman TMNT crossover just yet. I wouldn't be shocked if it followed the comic storyline to some extent.
Yeah.
But, it'll be fun to see. Like, at the very least, it'll be fun, I'm sure.
Always fun.
Mm-hmm.